Hey, Free Body Massage family, Kat here, and in just a moment, I'm going to show you specific techniques for releasing trigger points in the upper trapezius. So the upper trapezius, top of the shoulders, it's that part you can grab. I'm going to show you really specifically where the trigger points work and how to release them. And you got to get that part right. You got to get to right in the exact spot, or else you're not going to be releasing the trigger points. Trapezius headaches suck for your clients. Upper trapezius is the #1 place in the body to hold trigger points. So this is a place that you're going to want to have some good skill in working. So next I'm going to release a video on the anatomy of the trapezius and levator scapula because they often go together. So watch for that video coming out soon. And that will cover the pain referral patterns of the upper traps and also levator scap. So I hope you enjoy the video. See you soon. So when we want to work in the upper trapezius with our client face up, you want to just get some nice glides along there. And as you're doing that, you can feel the difference in the two sides. Like right now, as I'm doing this, I can feel that her right side is holding a little bit more tension. I can feel it's a little bit thicker toward the outside. And that's common with folks who are right-handed, that their right side is going to be a little bit thicker. It also could be maybe she sleeps on her right side. That can also be a piece of why sometimes folks have more tension on one side over the other. Because as they sleep on that side, they tuck that shoulder under. And you know, who's ever going to tell you to stop doing this? Like, you can't really do this too much even. No one's ever going to go, yeah, I'm sick of that. Please stop doing that. Nope. So I find for me, something that I find really very frustrating if I'm receiving body work is when I go, oh, it feels so good, and the person goes, bink, and then does something else. No, I just told you that feels good. Please do it for 10 more minutes. Right? The really good feeling stuff, do for a long time. And it serves the trigger point work. What's happening right now is that her nervous system is softening. We're hydrating these tissues, getting some of that stickiness out of there. And we're just kind of bringing down the general tone already in her body and in those traps. And then now there are 3 main points in the upper trapezius along this line. So upper trapezius, you don't want to do a big grab like this. That might feel good, but it's not where the trapezius trigger points live. The trapezius trigger points live as far out at the top as you can get without sliding off. Right there, I slid off into skin. But in here, I'm still in the traps and I can feel that. So I like to support her head really well. And I might tilt it a little slightly toward the side where I'm working. That gives a little bit more slack and allows me to grab that tissue a little bit more easily. And then I find right as close to the neck as I can get, way up high in that upper trap, there's often a little spot right there. How about there, Tifa? A little spot right there. And do you want more or less pressure? More. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit. Great. And then we're going to hold for a little bit. She's going to take a couple nice breaths. I can feel it softening. Feels better, doesn't it?
It does.
And so I'm going to release that spot. And then I'm going to slide out. I'm going to walk that line, that very upper edge, right? See how I can kind of flick off? There's that trap right there. This spot right here, #1 place to hold tension in the human body. Even toddlers have trigger points right here. How's that spot feel right there?
Feels good.
Okay, the right amount of pressure feels. Now, what's our movement here? If we want our client to do a little bit of movement in the traps, this upper trapezius, what it does is draw the ear and the shoulder toward each other. So I might ask my client, could you slide the shoulder up and the ear toward the shoulder at the same time, just a little tiny bit. There's a little like kink, that's it. And then slide them away from each other. That's it. And then keep doing that. You can slide up, engage, and then slide away. Yeah. Slide up and engage, and slide it away. And we'll just do maybe one more. And away. And then now how's that point feeling? Has it changed at all?
Less tender.
Less tender, yeah, great. And so we're just gonna, that was a good amount of time. It's less tender. One thing I like to tell folks is that you don't want me to try to get all the tension that you've been building in your body for your whole life. You don't want me to try to get it out in one session. That would be really painful. So the thing is, we're not going to always feel, your client won't always feel it go down to nothing. But what we want is that it's releasing, it feels better. Sometimes it goes all the way down to nothing, and sometimes it just is that it's releasing and feeling easier. That's our goal. And so I might do a nice slide all the way up to the base of the skull, and then down, slide up to the base of the skull, right at that trapezius attachment, down to the shoulder. And now we've got one more spot in our trapezius, upper trapezius on this left side. And for this one, I do want to make sure that her head is a little more tilted. I'm going to slide down to her elbow and slide that elbow up. See how that shoulder rises up a little bit? Because this last point is right here at the crease of the shoulder. It's a little bit hard to access, and it's impossible to access if the shoulder were slid all the way down. It's just hard to access kind of in general. So let's see if I can get my fingers into that spot, and I'm just as close to the clavicle as I can get. It's a little bit slippery. I'm going to take my hand out from here. Okay. I'm going to have a better grip on this side. So it's bringing my, and notice I bring my body around to support my work. Ooh, there it is. That's a good one. How's that feeling? Goodish.
Yeah, it's intense.
Do you want less pressure?
No, it feels good.
Great. How's that spot feeling? Tifa, does it feel a little softer?
It does.
Okay, great. Good. Great. Okay. And then we go back to a little bit of soothing in between sides. And now we're going to do a little releasing in the upper trapezius on her right side. So we get a hold of that trap and glide along. We follow it all the way in until we get as close to the neck as we can. And again, tilting the head slightly toward that side will soften up that trap and make it a little easier for us to grab. And then I'm gonna, feels like right about there. How about that, Tifa? Does that feel like this a good spot? Is this side a little more tender than the other side?
Yeah, it feels different, like deeper or something.
Feels deeper, she said, a little different. And it's the same, it mirrors where I was working on the left side, but she came in with a little shoulder thing today. And so we could see that her right pecs were tighter, and feel that those right pecs were tighter. And so now we're just working around that shoulder because every muscle in the area is going to be affected. How's that feeling?
Starting to loosen up.
Starting to loosen. There it goes. Yeah? Did you feel that? It just shifted there. Okay. That's great. So we're going to move on to that second point. Remember this middle point at the upper trapezius, middle point, number one spot in the body to have tension. Pretty much everyone has some tension up here. Right? As you know, as a therapist, most of the time people walk in, they're not going to say, oh, my neck and shoulders are fine. Nope. It's so common to have, and especially right up here. So I'm going to bring her head slightly toward that side. And I'm going to get a hold of that upper trap right there. And I feel like I'm going to lower this table down a little bit so that I can have a slightly better angle for my wrist. I can feel there's some twitching going on in there. How's that amount of pressure, Tifa? Does that feel right?
It does.
Okay. And notice that my language, does it feel right? As opposed to, does it feel good? Because good, as we said before, good could be, yeah, good, nothing. Or good, oh, it's such a tender spot, right? Doesn't really give us the information that we need. Great. And we're going to take a little trigger point break and do some soothing. So reminder that these trigger points in the upper trapezius create aching in the side of the neck. So it's really helpful to include this work in your neck work session, part of your session, because this is really what's causing the aching and the pain in the neck in the first place. And so now we're going to slide that elbow up a little bit, create a little space so that we can get in. I'm going to switch to use my other hand. And let me just show you this. Sometimes if it's too slippery, you could just take that sheet and drape it over the trap and then grab it through the sheet. That's way less slippery. And so if you've gotten a little bit too much oil on there, don't worry about it. You can just put the sheet right there, right? So we're going to grab this little spot right in this corner. Do, do, do. There it is. Yeah. And so it's really right at the top edge. It's not a big grab. It's really a tiny little pinch, a little squeeze at this very top part of the traps. That's where those trigger points live. Sometimes I kind of wiggle it a little bit. Sometimes I give an extra little squeeze and kind of just a little extra squeeze and release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, kind of pump it a very tiny little bit. How's that going, Tifa? Has it softened at all?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't always feel it release. Sometimes I do. That's why I want to check. I always want to check because sometimes it doesn't feel like it's changed to me. Or sometimes I feel a big change, but they're still feeling that it's tender. And so they might need just another little bit of time. So that's okay. We just give them that time and space that they need. Nice soothing at the end. And then you can do a nice pull and kind of hook your hands under the occiput so you get right at the upper trapezius attachment. Hook in, give a little pull, a little lean back. Let them take a nice big deep breath. And then we release. Okay. And that is working in the upper trapezius with your client face up.